Hello and welcome to the In the Money Media Network. This is a special show. We've done one of these before. It was about a year and a half ago. We called it the Christmas Quiz at the time. But we are back with Rowan Ward's Kentucky Derby trivia show. Rowan Ward, a trivia master whose star has only ascended since the last time we had them on these airwaves. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel, functioning as sort of a Don Pardo / Ed McMahon role this evening. But let's right away just bring in our host, Rowan Ward, at Rogue Clown on Twitter. Rowan, how are things?
Things are good. Things are, of course, a little busy because it's about a week and a half until the Kentucky Derby, the day that we're taping this. And as anybody who works in horse racing knows, this is one of the most frenetic times of the year. But it's nice to take a few minutes and hang out with all y'all and play some trivia.
It's going to be a ton of fun. Rowan works for Equibase, for Horse Racing Nation, and is a guest on our airwaves as well. This is a rematch. Bit of a grudge match, I have to say, because the first time through, the team that ended up winning, they came from absolute obscurity. It was a Zenyatta-like finish for them to get it done. And that's ironic because there was a very easy Breeders' Cup question about Zenyatta that they actually missed. First, we'll introduce a very regular member of the In the Money team. You read his work over at inthemoneypodcast.com. You may have heard him on the microphone at Sam Houston as well. He is Nick Tammaro. Nick, how are things?
Doing great, Pete. Ready for the rematch. Looking forward to racking my brain tonight about Derby obscurity that I didn't know.
And the other member of what we're calling, I think, Team Loudmouth or Team Big Mouth. And she'll live up to that name too. If you get her going at a conference with a beer or two in her, you know her from the great work she's done at a number of places, including Colonial Downs, including racing in Texas in the past, and now the announcer at Parks, driving back to her home in Massachusetts at the moment. She is Jessica Paquette. Jessica, what's going on?
Just enjoying the scenic drive from Bensalem back to north of Boston. I do that twice a week, but it'll be good to sleep in my own bed tonight. A great week of racing. And now I'm getting ready to feel real stupid.
Are you still sore from the marathon? You still sore from the Boston Marathon last week?
I'm ready for the next one. Absolutely not.
That's a hardcore answer. That's a very hardcore answer. And our challenging team, Let It Snow, is that what we're calling this team? These are the ringers, folks. First, we will introduce a woman who's introduced her first homebred into the world, Jeopardy veteran. You might know her also from Twitter at EMIAN White. She's Emily White. What's going on?
Hey, I used to be racehorse rider, but I sort of rebranded after leaving riding horse racing. But yes, I did just breed a Pennsylvania bred. And so I'm looking forward to a few years from now when Jessica Paquette gets to call her as a winner down the stretch. So
I love the sound of that. And, it's one of those things. It's a bit of a Godfather 3 situation, Emily, when it comes to you and horse racing. Just when you thought you were out, we dragged you back in. Last, but certainly not least, we bring in one of my favorite authors when it comes to all things racing. We're going to talk quickly about her new book, The Foxes of Bel Air, on this show. But soon we're going to have her on for a virtual book signing as well. Jennifer Kelly, how are things going with the book?
Hi. Oh, it is great. You actually are catching me on my very first day of book tour. I did an event today and I sold some books. So it's a good day.
That's awesome. Where can folks get the book real quick?
The best place to get it, of course, is KentuckyPress.com, which is my publisher, the University Press of Kentucky. But if you really need to, you can buy it from one of those big box stores. It's totally fine.
All right, now I get to shut up and let the real host of this program do their thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Rowan Ward.
Woo! Hello, I am so excited. Thank you all so much for coming back and playing another little game of horse racing trivia. The format is going to be pretty similar to that Christmas quiz that we did about a year and a half ago. We're going to have round one. That'll be 8 questions, 10 points apiece. Each question will have a title. Some of those titles will have clues. Some of them aren't, but it's always good to listen to the title. And then there's going to be a halftime question. And then there's going to be another round 2, 10 points per question. By the way, the halftime is going to be 1 question with 5 subparts, 4 points per answer. Round 2, another 8 questions, 10 points apiece. And then the final is going to be very similar to last time in that 1 question with a bunch of answers. I changed the weighting a little bit. I thought the final was a little too heavily weighted the first time, so it's going to be 2 points per correct answer instead of 4. But there are a lot of correct answers, so you'll have 5 minutes to brainstorm them among your teams.
Oh boy.
And because this is Kentucky Derby season, all of these questions do have to do with, surprise, surprise, the Kentucky Derby. So let's roll on into question 1. Question 1, it has to start somewhere. It's actually the name of the question. It has to start somewhere. The Kentucky Derby has been run at 1.25 miles since 1896. So long that 1.25 miles has become the American classic distance. But what was the distance of the race from its inception in 1875 through 1895?
Well, Jennifer and I have convened. I think we're at an answer.
Sounds
Yeah, I think
good.
us too.
All right, if you guys have agreed on an answer, then let's figure out what you said. We will start with Emily and Jennifer.
It's 1.5 miles.
No, you go ahead.
And Jessica and Nick, what do you have?
Yeah, our answer was 1.5 miles also.
You're both correct. It is 1.5 miles. It mirrored the distance of the Epsom Derby, which has been run at 1.5 miles since 1784. Though, fun fact about the Epsom Derby, that hasn't always been 1.5 miles. Its first 4 were just a flat mile. But of course, by 1895, 1.5 miles was traditional, or 1875. It was a traditional 1.5 miles for Epsom, so that's how the Kentucky Derby started. 10 points for both teams. Well done. Moving on to question number 2. The topic of question number 2, Nursery of Champions. Which farm, despite changes of ownership in recent decades, still holds the records for most Kentucky Derby winners bred and most Kentucky Derby winners owned? It hasn't owned a winner since Forward Pass in 1968, but bred 2022 winner Rich Strike, and thus also owns the ignominious honor of being the first owner to lose an eventual Kentucky Derby winner at the claim box.
Yeah, we know this one.
We're in.
All right, let's start then with Nick and Jessica. What do you have for me?
It's Calumet.
Emily and Jennifer?
It is indeed Calumet.
It is Calumet Farm. All 8 of their Kentucky Derby winners from Whirl Away in 1941 all the way through Forward Pass were homebred. The other 2 they bred but did not own when they won the Derby. In addition to Rich Strike, they also bred Strike the Gold in 1991. So, anyone want to take any bets on whether they're going to breed another horse with Strike in their name that wins the Kentucky Derby that they don't own?
Oh.
I'm taking action on that now.
Funny.
But well
Hopefully for
done,
their
that
sake,
is.
no.
Hopefully for their sake, no. Good one. That is 10 points for each of you, so it is now tied at 20-20. Question number 3. The kids are all right. 2 jockeys are tied for the youngest to win the Kentucky Derby. Alonzo Clayton, who rode Osra in 1892, and James Soup Perkins, who rode Holma in 1895. How old were they? Their age is the same as a post position that has yielded 6 Kentucky Derby winners, including Authentic, American Pharaoh, and Orb.
We're in.
Yeah, we're in.
All right, let's switch back then. Emily and Jennifer, what do you have?
It's 15.
And Jessica and Nick?
We have 18.
Well, one team is getting 10 points on this one. Emily and Jennifer with 15. They were 15 years old, and 6 horses have won from post 15. Authentic, American Pharaoh, Orb, Fusaichi Pegasus, Grindstone, and Swale. I don't know what y'all were doing at 15 years old. I was, which team got the points? It would be Let It Snow got the points. Emily and Jennifer. 15 years old they were, and I don't know what y'all were doing at 15. I was goofing around in high school, having no idea what I was doing with my life. And I mean, now I'm not goofing around in high school. Who knows if I have a better idea what I'm doing with my life at 40, but you know, these folks were 15. Alonzo Clayton and Sue Perkins won the Derby at 15, which blows my mind. But they did it.
I was tremendous. When it came to tabletop baseball at 15. I don't think I needed to be anywhere near the back of a horse at that stage.
Oh yeah, at 15 years old, I was spending most of my evenings on Verve Pipe chat on AOL.
You're truly establishing your millennial bona fides.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I'm from the 90s, and I'm here to help.
I was 15 in 1992. I was like, I think that's when I got my braces off.
Same here.
You know, I went to my first ever concert right before I turned 15. It was Matchbox 20, and I met Rob Thomas after the show.
Nice.
No, he was super cool and, you know, very, very patient and nice with losing their mind 14-year-old Rowan. But yes, well done. It is now 30 points for Let It Snow and 20 points for Big Mouths. Moving on to question number 4. The subject is first class. Since 2012, Churchill Downs has brought a celebrity to give the call for riders up. It's usually a sports celebrity, but in 2022, the honor of giving the Riders Up command went to which rapper from Louisville? He broke out performing with Lil Nas X on the 2021 song Industry Baby, and is also nominated for a Grammy this year for Best Rap Song for the appropriately titled Churchill Downs.
Yeah,
I didn't know about Churchill Downs.
I
do
heard
too.
about that.
All right, both teams got an answer for me?
Yes.
Then let's talk to the Big Mouths, Jessica and Nick.
I guess Jack Harlow.
And Emily and Jennifer?
Yep, Jack Harlow.
Well, the subject was certainly a clue this time. First Class was another big song of his. It is Jack Harlow. Well done. There was a video for that Churchill Downs song that came out right around the Derby last year. And I remember it getting some flack because the song mentioned Churchill Downs kind of in passing, but wasn't really about horse racing. That said, he is from Louisville and he did get to call riders up last year. So points for everybody. It is now 40 points for Let It Snow and 30 for Big Mouths. Moving on to question number 5, from El Comandante to the Twin Spires. 1976 winner Bold Forbes began his racing career on What Island, racing there 6 times before relocating stateside and winning the Tremont and the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. The most recent Kentucky Derby starter to begin his career there is Mr. Frisky, who finished 8th in the 1990 Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, we're ready when you guys are.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready.
And Let It Snow, are you ready as well?
Yeah, we're good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Let It Snow, what do you have for me?
Puerto Rico?
And Big Mouths?
Puerto Rico.
It is Puerto Rico.
Okay, good. I was like really worried.
Well, the clue was a little bit of a tricky one nowadays because that track is now called Camarero, but it was not. When Bold Forbes was racing there, it was not renamed yet after Camarero. It was still El Comandante. It is Puerto Rico.
See, I was like, is that a Cuba reference that I'm completely missing?
No, it's just the old name of the major track in Puerto Rico. You got that right. And yes, Mr. Frisky is the most recent horse. He was undefeated in Puerto Rico Bold Forbes was not undefeated in Puerto Rico, but Mr. Frisky was, and then came
Robert
here one
Perez, Rowan, was that the owner? Robert Perez, and was the trainer Carejas? Am I anywhere right with that?
For who? Bold Forbes?
No,
or
for
Mr.
Frisky.
Honestly, I have to look that up because I do not remember that, but I'm going to look that up right now. Because
Dimly remembered in the recesses of my brain.
It's time to make a flashcard.
It is time to make a flashcard.
I remember watching the 1990 Derby broadcast on YouTube and Mr. Frisky because I remember watching that Derby, but I don't remember the connections.
Who were you saying was the owner and the owner and the
I was
trainer?
guessing Perez was maybe the owner and Carejas the trainer, but I might be remembering a different horse with Frisky in the name.
Senor Speedy is who you're thinking, Pete.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm
As of his last start, he was ridden by David Flores and trained by Joe Garcia Jr.
Okay.
Yeah,
but Equibase only has 91 forward.
It looks like Las Barrera had Mr. Frisky and then passed away while he was training Mr. Frisky, and that's when he moved to the Garcia barn.
A little bit of a connection there to this year's Derby scene, as Gustavo Delgado worked for Las Barrera, who has a mage in this year's event. It's funny in racing, all the little threads you can pull at, you know.
Nope, so many, because it's hard to get into racing without, at least along the way, knowing somebody else in racing and then knowing somebody else, because it's such a small world. So yeah, it's always really fun to follow these connections because they're everywhere.
Jessica, you had something for us?
Something very important, really relevant that everyone's going to be very interested in. Mage's Dam won the Jill Jealous Stakes at Suffolk Downs, and Forte's Dam finished second.
That's actually really cool. I mean, if it's not a trivia show, if you can't bust stuff out, you know, connecting us back to the East Boston Open.
We'll always go back there. That's what all roads lead back to Suffolk Downs.
Yeah.
So it's a generational grudge match.
Something like that. Yeah, that's exactly.
That's great. Yeah, Forte's Dam wants revenge through Forte.
Yeah,
I love it.
Way to play the long game, guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess Forte got a little bit of revenge finishing ahead of Mage twice in Florida, so maybe it's Mage's turn again. We'll see.
Maybe.
2 fills, all in on 2 fills. All in. All in.
I'm very excited about 2 fills, especially because Mia Tori ran at Arlington back in the day. Mia Tori being 2 fills' dam, and so
I was going to hold all your feet to the fire for a Derby pick at the end of the show, so we can return.
Yeah, we should.
I definitely don't have my Derby pick yet. I've got kind of a handful of horses that I've got my eye on. I am usually a not until the draw. I say usually because there was one year I had my Derby horse in September of the year before. He did not win the Derby, but he sure did beat American Pharoah in the Travers.
Oh, you're bringing back bad memories here, Rowan. Come on. There's still a chalk outline of me on the floor of the paddock bar when that thing came to claim us late.
Keen Ice is my boy.
I still explain to my daughter why she's going to have to go to state school.
My God. That's great.
All right. Let's move on to question number 6. Question number 6. Who's your daddy? 4 sires are tied for the all-time lead for producing the most Kentucky Derby winners, with 3 apiece. Name any of these 4. As a hint, 2 of them were born in the 19th century, 2 others were born in the 20th, and both of the 20th century ones sired a Triple Crown winner. There are 4. You only need to give me 1.
We got it.
All right. Sounds like Let It Snow has it.
All right, we've got an answer.
Okay. If you've got an answer, then Nick and Jessica, what do you have?
Bold Venture.
All right. And Emily and Jennifer.
We went with Jennifer's boy, Sir Galahad.
The third.
All right.
So there were 2 others for Galahads.
The answers are There is Virgil, who sired Vagrant Hindu and Ben Ally. Falsetto, who sired Chance, His Eminence, and Sir Huon. Sir Galahad III is correct. Gallant Fox, Galahadion, and Hoop Jr. And Bull Lee sired Citation, Hillgale, and Iron Liege. So that is 10 points for Let It Snow.
Okay, but the real trivia question is which Kentucky Derby winner sired a Kentucky Derby winner sired a Kentucky Derby winner?
Oh, I know this one. I know this one. And there's two of them. It's Rykount and Pensive.
Oh, that's right. Pensive is the other. I thought there was just the Rykount, and then
Ponder and Needles.
Yeah, Pensive, Ponder, and Needles, Rykount, Count Fleet, and my beloved Count Turf.
Now, do you know this stuff from just being students of the game, or is this like a specific trivia studying thing?
Oh no, this is from being students of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Up to this point in the game, I was with you with everything, and then we were talking a foreign language all of a sudden.
Like rare does a question about horse racing come up in our trivia games. Usually it's like, here's the strait in Australia that runs between Tasmania and the main Australian, and like, what's the name of the strait? And I'm like, it has a name.
Which I'm okay with too, but
Yeah, I've had to learn a lot of geography, particularly as I was studying for that second chance for Jeopardy last year, because geography's always been a giant blind spot for me, and it is not for Jeopardy. They love asking about geography.
And see, I did the 3-generation thing last year or a year before because I wrote about it for Champions of the Track. So I had done all that research already.
I just find it fascinating that those are the chains.
Nick is
forgot about Pensive. Yeah.
What's wrong with these people? We have so much.
No. There's a lot of racing obscurity that you'd be very disappointed how much I know. So.
And looping back, Nick, you and Jessica said Bold Venture, right?
We did. I had no idea that was Jessica's answer, but I'm not.
Oh, I mean it's a good answer. Bold Venture is a good answer. He's sired 2. He sired Assault and Middle Ground.
Yeah,
that was why I went with him, because Assault was a Texas bred.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of, I say a lot of sires. There are 16 sires who have sired 2 Kentucky Derby winners, including 1 active sire, Into Mischief, who can tie Virgil, Falsetto, Sir Galahad III, and Bull Lee if Rocket Can, Sun Thunder, or if he draws in Cyclone Mischief, wins the Derby this year. So
would be pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think the thing that would be more shocking for me than Into Mischief getting a 3rd Kentucky Derby winner, given how well he's going, would be if it happened this year, because I'll admit I'm not terribly keen on the chances of any of his sons.
I was going to say, I was going to make a smart remark about that triumvirate, but then I remembered that Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby last year, so I decided to shut the hell up.
There you go.
Yeah, but if there's one thing I could have said about Rich Strike even last year, it's that his pedigree didn't exactly suggest distance limitations to me, whereas particularly with Rocket Can and Sun Thunder, I have my distance questions with them. But
we'll find out.
Totally legit.
After 6 questions, it is 60-40. Let it snow. Moving on to question 7. He can do anything. Johnny Longden is the only person who has won the Kentucky Derby as both a jockey and a trainer. He rode Triple Crown winner Count Fleet to victory in 1943. Who was his winner as a trainer? In 1969, his horse beat Arts and Letters in both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, though Arts and Letters turned the tables in the Belmont.
We got it.
All right, Let It Snow has it. So, big mouths, take your time.
Sure. We're ready.
All right. Sounds like we have answers from both teams. So how about Let It Snow?
Go, Jennifer.
It's Majestic Prince.
And Big Mouths.
The answer I was going to give was Canonero. I know that's wrong, but I'm not going to lie.
It is not Canyonero. It is Majestic Prince. Well done. And when I said Johnny Longden could do it all, I mean it. There's actually a short hit in the racing form in 1954 that talks about him driving a harness horse that he owned to victory. So he's dabbled in a little bit of everything and is still the only jockey and trainer to win the Kentucky Derby in both of those capacities.
Typical horse racing, even when you're as successful as Johnny Longden, you still need 4 or 5 jobs.
That's how horse racing works, right?
True.
All right, moving on to question 8, the last question of the first half. For Sharpies only. Some names of dams who produced Kentucky Derby winners are downright regal. Something royal, even. Some are a bit sillier. Which Kentucky Derby winner was out of a dam named Noodle Soup? Not only does his name share most of the letters or the word in his dam's name, but he is one of only 2 Kentucky Derby winners whose sire and grandsire both won the Roses. He was by 1949 winner Ponder, a son of 1944 winner Pensive.
Are you kidding me?
No!
I did the OQL thing of spoiling that.
These trivia nerds, I tell you, you can't invite them anywhere.
Oh, dang.
We're just going to talk about trivia all day.
Well, we have it.
Okay, and Big Mouth.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Big Mouth, what do you have?
We don't really have an answer. Noodle Kugel. I don't know.
And let it snow.
We are driving, Dick.
Yeah, we're not on our game first half.
Well, this is a similar pattern to what happened last time. So don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
It's
We're
still
this
on
far
time.
behind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Needles.
It is Needles. Noodle Soup produced Needles. And as we were discussing before, the other set of these is 1951 winner Count Turf, who was Viscount Fleet, who himself was by Viscount. So,
Man.
what's funny is I wrote these questions a few days ago. We're having that discussion, and I had a little something in the back of my head being like, does this come up later? No, it doesn't come up later. It's just a fact I'm obsessed with. Oops.
Just put
Great
me
question
on mute.
title there.
Just
The
put me
Sharpies
on
only
mute.
with needles. Very good.
Yes, that was a deliberate clue for Sharpies only because it's Needles. All right. So at the end of the first round, it is 80 points for Let It Snow and 40 for Team Big Mouths. But there is still halftime, second half, and final to go. So plenty of time for that Zenyatta, Silky Sullivan, whoever you want to model your run after. For me, it's perhaps the most aptly named horse in recent Chicago racing history, Silky Sammy. I really hope they knew that she was a closer when they named her that. That said, halftime. The subject is Superstar State-breds. 114 Kentucky Derby winners and the vast majority of Kentucky Derby starters were bred in Kentucky. But let's see how much you know about the ones who weren't. You're going to get 5 lists of 3 Kentucky Derby starters each. Among that list will be at least one winner. In which state were the horses in each list fold? And I'll go ahead and give you the 3 lists, and I will paste them in the chat so you can see them. The first list is Regret, Dance Floor, Irish War Cry. The second set, Lord Murphy, Kingman, Typhoon II. Your third, At the Threshold, Funny Side, Samrat. The fourth, Abe's Hope, Dust Commander, Western Playboy. And the fifth is Kauai King, Broad Brush, and Homeboy Chris. You have 3 minutes to discuss these, figure out what state you think each of these trios were bred, and we'll talk about answers after you have figured out what you've got or those 3 minutes elapse. Good luck. Sounds like you've got everything written down. So with the first one, we will start with Big Mouths. Regret, dance floor, Irish war cry.
New Jersey.
And Let It Snow.
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
That's 4 points for both of you. It is New Jersey. Something I love is Regret was even out of a mare named Jersey Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Lord Murphy Kingman, Typhoon II. Let It Snow.
All right, this is the one that I had to really reach into the recesses of my mind and make a full-on guess because I am unsure. Montana?
And Big Mouths.
Great Britain.
Neither of you are correct. It's a super random state, though. What's funny is all 3 of these are
Oh,
winners.
it's a state, right? So of course I went international, right?
They're all Tennessee breds.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was okay.
It used to be a big deal.
It used to be a big deal.
What is
The
hilarious?
Tennessee Derby was
I mean,
once a bigger deal than the Kentucky Derby, right?
and,
Yeah.
10 strike.
and all 3 of these, 1879, 1891, and 1897, they're old school winners. And the thing is, though, only Tennessee, Florida, Virginia, and California have more Kentucky Derby winners than Tennessee. It used to be a huge deal in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson was a thoroughbred breeder, and his whole base was in Tennessee. So
Yep.
I just was like, I know there's a Montana bred winner, and that's was
We'll get there. At the Threshold, Funny Side, and Samrat. Let It Snow.
New York.
Emily.
And Big Mouths.
Yeah, New York.
Of course, it's New York. Funny Side being the gutsy gelding and those Derby prep fights between Samrat and Uncle Si back in 2014 gave me so much life. I loved their battles. But yes, they are all from New York. So 4 points for both of you there. Abe's Hope, Dust Commander, Western Playboy, Big Mouths.
Nebraska.
And Let It Snow.
We said Texas, baby?
Nope, this was a player quizmaster. Illinois.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay. I was looking at Dust Commander and Western Playboy, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, Western Playboy was trained by Illinois Classic Harvey Veneer. Dust Commander is the only Illinois bred Kentucky Derby winner. And it's kind of funny that you said Montana because some people say 1889 winner Spokane was Illinois bred. He's not by how we discuss the term of bred. He was conceived in Illinois, but he was foaled in Montana.
There you go.
So Spokane is our Montana bred
Gotcha.
Kentucky Derby
I
winner.
have to
So
get to the big
is,
sky eventually.
there is one. It just wasn't Lord Murphy or Kingman or Typhoon II. It was Spokane. And finally, Kauai King, Broad Brush, and Homeboy Chris. Let It Snow.
Emily.
Maryland.
And Big Mouths.
Yep, Maryland.
Sure is Maryland. Kauai King and Abe's Hope were actually the same year. They both ran in the 66 Kentucky Derby. And Kauai King, unfortunately for us Illinois folks, got the best of Abe's Hope that year. But very well done, though. You each got 3 of the 5, which means you each get 12 points in this round, meaning it is now 92 to 52. But again, still a lot of points to go. Let's roll right on into round 2, which is going to be a lot like round 1. 8 questions, 10 points apiece. Question number 9. Easy as A, B, Z? Who is the alphabetically last Kentucky Derby winner? He captured the Run for the Roses in 1923, also scored in the Belmont Stakes, and soundly defeated the 1923 Epsom Derby winner Papyrus in a match race going 1.5 miles in the mud at Belmont Park.
We got it.
Yeah, you can go ahead and we can answer first.
Okay, what do you have?
Zorro.
Not Jennifer's fox, but a fox indeed. How about Let It Snow?
It's Zev.
It is Zev, who was owned by Harry Sinclair, the Sinclair oil guy. He named the horse after James W. Zevley, who was his lawyer who did some of his dirty work in the Teapot Dome scandal. Whoops. Negotiated some oil leases, gave a nice loan to Interior Secretary Albert Fall. So not only is Zev the alphabetically last Kentucky Derby winner, but he's also named after a somewhat scandalous figure in American history.
I was going to say, Rowan, nothing like that would happen today, would it?
No, never.
No.
Absolutely never. No.
And Zev is the subject of the book Racing Across America by Jamie Nicholson from the University Press of Kentucky.
There you go. Good.
So your knowledge of
way to
horse
be
racing
a
literature.
company woman there, Jennifer. Good stuff.
I read the book, so it's really good. I was like,
Also, that sounds like a book I need to put on my list because I have not read that book, and that sounds awesome.
yes.
All right, number 10. A good horse can come from anywhere. The Great Northern Dancer, who won the Run for the Roses in 1964, is the only Kentucky Derby winner who broke his maiden at which racetrack? He debuted in a 5.5 furlong sprint against Canadian breds, thrashed them by 8 lengths at odds on, and it was onward and upward from there.
One of Queen Elizabeth's favorite sires, if I know that correctly. I think I remember talking to Jim Lawson about one of his, maybe his only, but maybe one of his audiences with her. And apparently all she wanted to talk about was Northern Dancer and his
Well,
horse.
That is so cool.
There's enough of them overseas, so you can't find a horse overseas without Northern Dancer. So
It makes sense.
my little filly, I love to point out, her pedigree has like 5 or 6 Northern Dancers in it. So we're full up on Northern Dancer here.
That is plenty of Northern Dancer.
Okay.
All right, sounds like Big Mouths has it, so Let It Snow. Do you have it?
I think so, yeah.
All right, Big Mouths, what do you got?
We were going to say Fort Erie.
And Let It Snow.
We took a stab with Woodbine.
One of you got it right. It is the delightful Fort Erie.
Oh my gosh. I
No.
thought about it might be that, but I was like, yeah.
Well, yeah, Derby winners breaking their maidens at Woodbine aren't common, but there have been 3 of them.
Oh, yeah.
1916 winner George Smith won at the old Woodbine, the one we now call Greenwood, and both 1983 Sonny's Halo and 2009 Mine That Bird graduated at the current Woodbine. Although honestly, I'm holding out for a horse to break their maiden at Assiniboia and win the Derby because I have been to Fort Erie. I love Fort Erie. I've been to Woodbine 5 times. I love it. Assiniboia is so high on my bucket list it is not even funny because their simulcast feed is just so much fun. I am obsessed.
Well, Doug McPherson, if you're listening, please forgive me.
Yeah, Doug's not going to be pleased with that
No.
miss.
I thought Fort Erie was in the United States.
It's very
I know
close
better.
to the United States. It's basically right over the border from Buffalo.
I should know better because Sir Barton ran there, so I should fail on my part.
But yeah, no, it is right. It is right over from Buffalo. That was probably just. I've been on some madcap road trips, and one of the most madcap was one that I went on with Carly and Ryan and Nicole. We all got off work at Arlington, drove all night to get to Monday of opening weekend at Saratoga, went to that, crashed that night in Saratoga. The next day, went back across New York over the border into Canada to go to the Prince of Wales at Fort Erie, and then went home the next day. It was bonkers. It was delightful. It was the year Cool Catamine upset the Prince of Wales.
Rowan, you're not sick at all.
Just a little bit.
I'm tired just listening to that.
All right, moving on to question 11. Short fields. Bettors love the huge field in the Kentucky Derby, but that wasn't always the case. The smallest field in a Kentucky Derby was just 3 horses in both 1892 and 1905. But in which decade was the last time the field was under 10 horses? It wasn't that long ago. One of the jockeys in this year's Kentucky Derby even rode during this decade.
Okay, we're ready when you guys are.
All right, sounds like big mouths have it. So whenever you're ready, let us know.
Okay, I think we might have it.
Yeah.
All right, let us know. What do you got?
We're gonna try the 80s.
And big mouths?
Yeah, we have the 80s also.
You're actually both a little bit late. It was the 70s.
I was like, okay.
Dang, I'm so sorry.
Specifically 1976, the one by Bold Forbes. It only had 9 horses. You know, what's funny is 13 lined up in Secretariat's Derby, 10 in the bids, but only 9 horses in the Bold Forbes Derby.
Mhm.
And Ken Tohill, who's riding Wild on Ice, got his start in the California Fair meets in 79.
Yeah,
I thought it was
even
the 70s, but I was like,
I thought it had
I'm
to be
sorry.
80s just on the math, on the jockey math. I thought it had to be.
I'm the one that
No,
ordered
this is Ken
Jennifer up.
Tohill riding as a teenager in the California Fair meets in 79.
I
Oh
didn't
my
know all
gosh!
the
And Ken
jocks yet. So I was
and Tohill is even a Nebraska jockey, so shame on me. So
yeah. I
But
was
now
like,
you know.
Great question.
Thank
Yes.
you. All right. I think that's the first, except for, I guess, a couple parts of the halftime. I think this is the first full question that
First we
sums
both got
both
wrong,
of you.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
all right. We got plenty more, though. Question number 12. Saturday afternoon's all right for fighting, too. Who is the only horse who broke his maiden in the Kentucky Derby and never won again? He was the second straight winner for trainer Herbert Johnson, nicknamed Derby Dick. He also won the year before with the more accomplished Burgoo King. This question just makes me want some Burgoo.
We had some good Burgoo weather at Keeneland this spring, let me tell you.
We've had some good Burgoo weather here in Illinois, but since it's Illinois, we just don't have good Burgoo.
You got to make your own for sure.
That is true.
Okay, we got it.
All right, Let It Snow has it. So big mouths.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so big mouths, what do you have?
We're going to say that following up Burgoo King was Chili Queen.
All right, and Let It
We
Snow.
don't know.
I love it.
It's a broker's tip.
The fighting was a clue. Saturday afternoon's all right for
Fighting finish.
fighting because he is the horse who won the fighting finish in 1933. Broker's Tip. Don Meade and Herb Fisher were slugging it out atop the horses down the lane. There are 2 other maidens who've won the Derby. Sir Barton in 1919, as I'm sure Jennifer knows very well.
She's never heard of him.
No. And Buchanan
No.
in 1884, but they did both win other races later. So this is Broker's Tip. I'm obsessed with that fighting finish picture, like the picture up the stretch where you can see the jockeys just going at it.
Oh, it's great. I was tempted to cheat on this one. I have this lovely piece of memorabilia on the walls. My grandfather was a brand manager at Four Roses, and they did. This is from 74 because the last winner mentioned there is a horse we've all heard of called Secretariat. But anyway, I was tempted to go over here and check it. And speaking of Sir Barton, I think one of us might have him in ink tattooed on our body. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to see.
Am I supposed to show this off? Jessica's like,
Was that an impertinent question, or is that allowed? I've been slapped for asking people to show me their tattoos before, so I got to be
I
careful.
don't mind. It's just like, do people care about my tattoo?
I
I
do.
love it. It's so good.
Jessica's like, I want to eat food.
All right. Let's move on then to question number 13. We got 4 more in round 2 and then the final. 10, 20, 30, 40. Tell me that you want to hold me. Which alternative rock band released the 1994 song Bull in the Heather, named after a gray horse who finished 11th in the 1993 Kentucky Derby? According to lead singer and bass player Kim Gordon, the song is about using passivity to rebel against male-dominated culture. Beavis and Butthead just compared the video to Romper Room.
Oh, the band.
Full marks
Yes.
for any Kim Gordon references on this network. I'm very, very pleased with this question.
There's a music
Jess and I
pop
are
culture
talking-
question
yeah.
about Jack Harlow in the first half. Had to balance it out with some pop culture in the second half. But
Right.
this is old people pop culture. And by old people, I mean people about my age.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
no,
that
I
as
just
an
remember.
old.
All right, we're good.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
we're
And with that, let it snow. Who do you got?
I feel like this is wrong, but is it the Breeders?
And what do you got? Big Mouths.
Sonic Youth.
It is Sonic Youth.
I
That had to be.
remember
That had to
the
be Jessica.
name.
That had to be Jessica. That
I was
wasn't
like-
you, Nick.
Yeah, Jessica came up with it at the 11th hour.
Well done.
I was
Well
going to be.
figured out.
Could definitely put a mark next to her name if she didn't get that one, knowing her musical taste.
Yeah, the Breeders have another, like the Breeders have the other early 90s
Kim
rock
Hall.
band Kim Deal.
That's
Okay.
right. Good. That was a good guess.
okay.
Well, it was like the Sonic Youth were on an episode of Gilmore Girls, and y'all are gonna laugh at me because that's my way of placing them. But that's like, I know they were troubadours on season 6 of Gilmore Girls, but I could not remember the name, and that is how bad I am.
But no, it is a bop. It was actually, this is just one of my favorite weird trivia things, just because Beavis and Butthead's my favorite TV show of all time. So it's like 90s music, horse racing, and Beavis and Butthead all falling together into the singularity of trivia that makes me so ridiculously happy.
Powerful
Gray Horse-
convergence there.
The gray
No,
horse in the
hey.
video is not Bull in the Heather, but there is a gray horse in the video, which makes me very happy.
Holy bull.
Let's move on to question number 14. Who's your daddy? Part 2. 2 stallions accounted for 7 of the 20 horses in the 2018 Kentucky Derby. Who were they? One sired 4 entrants, though only one of his progeny was in the top 10. The other sired 3, all of whom finished in the top 10.
All right, we've got an answer.
Yeah.
All right, Big Mouths have an answer. How about Let It Snow?
Yeah. Okay, we'll lock in with what we have.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, Big Mouths, what do you got?
So the one that had 3 that finished in the top 10 is Into Mischief, and I think the other one is Tap It.
And how about Let It Snow?
We went with Tappet and Scat Daddy.
Neither of you are correct. One of you has one of the correct sires. There is no Tap It. Scat Daddy had 4. Justify, Flame Away, Combatant, and Mendelsohn. Curlin was the other one. Good Magic,
Yeah, Jessica
Vino
said
Rosso, and Solimini. I was obviously not going to ask you about the 5 Chickle babies in the 1923 Kentucky Derby because I'm mean. I'm not that mean.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And ironically, doesn't actually. I'm not going to say anything in case I spoil it later. So
I
yeah,
was
they're-
between Curlin and Tappet and Scat Daddy because I was going, okay, who's sire? Like,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the only Scat Daddy who finished in the top 10 was a pretty big one, but
Yeah.
his
So I was like-
others.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, there are a ton of stallions who have had 3 in a single Kentucky Derby. Into Mischief, which was 2021, was the year that he had 3. Curlin, Tappet, 2016, which there were also 3 Uncle Mo's that year. Going back, Gone West, Cox's Ridge, Damascus, Erbiger, Royal Charger, Nasrullah, Pompey, Broomstick, Ballot, McGee, a ton. But the only ones that have more than 3 were Scat Daddy in 2018 and Chickle in 1923.
1923.
So,
gotcha.
all right, number 15, Unbreakable Records. It was big news when Justify won the Roses after only 3 previous starts. However, one horse won the Kentucky Derby with only 2 previous starts, a race at 2 and a single prep at 3. Who was it? He shares his name with a major character in the Shakespeare play Cymbeline, and is currently the namesake of a stakes race for 3-year-olds at Turfway Park, a race that Funtastic again won in 2023.
We're ready, Rowan.
All right, big mouths have it. So whenever Let It Snow is ready.
Oh, I got it. We got it.
All right, Let It Snow. What do you have?
I think this is the Rushaway.
And how about big mouths?
Leonidas.
That's it.
Rushaway is a stakes race at
Oh,
Turfway,
sorry.
but Leonidas
That's
is
it.
the one I was asking about.
That's it.
He showed maturity winning the 1883 Kentucky Derby and only his
That's it.
third career start. He was a little more childish when he went back and ate the bouquet of roses. So it was before they got a blanket of roses, they just got a bouquet, and Leonidas decided that he was
That's
going to have it for dinner.
Oh my God.
As soon as you said it, I was like, "That's it."
It's not often I call a record unbreakable, but I don't think any horse is ever going to win the Kentucky Derby in their third start. Watch me be wrong. Watch that happen next year because I said it's never going to happen. But I'll go on record and say I think it's never going to happen.
No.
Don't give modern trainers a chance.
Right. Yeah. I mean, please, they're going to go right from the OBS sales to the Derby.
Yeah, I mean, like, no.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a,
Listen
that
to
was
the
a different
show.
time.
Come fight me. It's never going to happen.
That's right.
I can't believe there was a Cymbeline Derby tie-in and it wasn't Giacomo. So I don't know what it is.
I'm full of surprises. All right. And finally, the last question of round 2. There is a final after this. This is the last regular question. Back across the pond. We began round 1 with a question that harkened back to the Epsom Derby, so let's finish with one as well. Which American Triple Crown winning rider is the only jockey to win both the Kentucky Derby and the Epsom Derby?
Okay, I think we have it.
All right. Let It Snow has it. So big mouth.
And I'm letting Jennifer. I'm letting Jennifer field this one because I think I just need to quit while I'm ahead.
Oh, stop.
I was so proud of pulling a Turfway Stakes out of my head, the recesses of my brain.
All right, we've got something.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with big mouths. Who do you have?
We were between two of them, and we went with Steve Cawthon.
And Let It Snow.
It's Steve Cawthon.
It is Steve Cawthon.
Yeah.
He won the Derby in 1978 with Affirmed and actually won twice as many Epsom Derbies. He won in 85 with Slip Anchor and 87 with Reference Point. So well remembered, both of you. It is Steve Cawthon. So before we get to the final, let's get a score check. And Let It Snow has a lead, but it's diminished just a bit in the second round. Let It Snow is on 122. Big Mouths are on 92, but still plenty of points available in the final round. Remember, you will have 5 minutes once I read the question to think of answers. 2 points per correct answer, but there are 21 correct answers to speak of. So you can come up with a nice big list. Do not list more than 21. You get 21 chances for 21 correct answers. I'll give you the 5 points, I'll give you the 5 minutes, and then what I'll do is read the list of correct answers, and then you teams can say if you have it or not, because we're not gonna sit and have you read your entire list of 21.
Thank
Don't
you.
worry. But the category is They Are the Champions. With Forte, the certain favorite in the Kentucky Derby, we're going to go topical here. Handicappers often express skepticism over the chances of a 2-year-old champion in the Kentucky Derby, but over the history of the race, 21 champion juveniles, including colts or fillies, have actually won the Derby. Who were they? And since I know there's some stuff about early champions, here's the rules. This includes retroactive champions from before 1935 as determined by the Blood Horse panel. 8 are from that period. The other 13 are more recent. Between 1936 and 1970, when DRF, Turf and Sport Digest, and later the Thoroughbred Racing Association all did awards, champion honors from any one of them count. Though, in case it's a clue, only one of the Derby winning champions in that era was not a consensus winner. The other 12 were consensus. You have 5 minutes to think of answers, 2 points per correct answer, no penalty for having wrong answers on your list. And with that, unless do you have any questions about the question or the clarifications about what champions are?
Nope.
Hearing none?
We're good.
Excellent. Good luck. Your 5 minutes begin now. And that is 5 minutes. So have you both got your lists and ready to figure out who the answers are?
Okay.
The best we can.
The best you can. Yeah,
Between our collective brains. Like, is this?
All right. So we'll start it. We'll start old and go through time. The first one was in 1896 with Ben Brush.
Shocking, I didn't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that one.
No.
All right. Yeah, that's old school. Another an even more obscure one, I think, in 1912, Worth.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No,
I know Ben Brush, but I forgot that Ben Brush was 2-year-old champion also. So
No. Did Big Mouth? Did you get Worth?
No.
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 The earliest one we have is the earliest one we have is Citation.
So yeah, no, that is two swings and misses from both teams by Ben Brush and Worth. I am not surprised by this. It's fun trivia, but I assume the more recent ones are going to be the more accessible ones. But we still got a few more old ones. 1914, Old Rosebud.
got that one.
Is that a yes?
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Oh yeah. There we go.
That's a yes from Let It Snow. How about Big Mouth? Did you get Old Rosebud?
We did not.
No.
As
All
big of
right.
a fan of Citizen Kane as you are, Nick, I'm surprised.
This is the even older than Citizen Kane Rosebud.
Named after a bourbon.
I love it. Okay, and then the very next year, 1915, we have our only champion filly to win the Kentucky Derby, or champion 2-year-old filly, Regret.
Yep.
No.
Let It Snow had it.
Mhm.
Did Big Mouth have Regret?
We did not.
I
No.
mean, we have some, yes, but not that one.
Yeah. The earliest one we have is Citation.
Okay, so we got a few to go before we get to citation. 1922, Morvich.
Yes.
You seriously had Morvich?
Girl, Rowan. I wrote an article about the 1922 Derby in Preakness last year.
Oh, right. So that would
Get a ringer here.
That was Jennifer. That was Jennifer.
All right. So
Tremendously huge nerd. Tremendously huge.
So Let It Snow had Morvich. And then we go to the very next year, 1923. Did either of you have our old friend Zev?
We did.
Should have had Zev, yeah.
All right. Sounds like Let It Snow had Zev. 1928, another name that's going to sound a little familiar after something that came up earlier. Ray Count.
Nope.
Nope. Sounds like nobody had Ray Count.
No.
Father of Count Fleet, grandfather of Count Turf.
As we all
He's
know.
everywhere.
I'll remember that.
All right. 1934. The only Kentucky Derby winner to have won his 2-year-old championship in the same year that a movie that shares his name won Best Picture, Cavalcade.
I was about to say that was not okay. Yeah.
Nope.
I was like, okay.
Nope.
Yeah, no, the 1932/33 Best Picture Oscar went to a movie called Cavalcade.
I
And
have
the
that one.
Yeah, and
I was
Being
just sure my
prepared-
horse Slumdog Millionaire was going to equal that record.
yes. Okay, and then the last one before Count Fleet, 1941. This is actually the only one who was not a consensus 2-year-old champion. Whirlaway.
We have that.
He was the Turf and Sport Digest champion in 1940, but DRF named Our Boots their champion. Our Boots only ran 8th in the Derby. So it sounds like that one did
Don't
go.
trust those DRFers.
Sounds like that one went to just let it snow. 1943 Kentucky Derby winner, Count Fleet.
Yep.
And of course, you have it as well. Big Mouths, Count Fleet, you said? Or did you have Citation? Did you say Citation was your
Citation's our first one, so we're
Citation.
almost there.
Almost there.
Almost back to relevant.
So 1943 Count Fleet, that is just let it snow. The good news is the next one. 1948 Kentucky Derby winner, Citation.
There we go.
Put it on the board.
Big
Put it on
Mouths
the
got
board.
it. Did Let It Snow have it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. 1956, speaking of names that have popped up over and over again, our old friend Needles.
No.
Nope.
We have that.
You have that. So
I
that
have
is
Needles.
two.
That was the
That
only
got you.
reason one I capitalized on.
That was the I got fuzzy on like the 50s to the 60s. I was like,
Oh yeah, my brain just went into a total vortex there.
ooh.
Well, I mean, there's a good reason that you got fuzzy on the 50s and 60s. You want to know how many champion 2-year-olds won the Derby through the 50s and the 60s? Needles. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Okay.
That was a bit of a drought on champions. The next one was all the way 1972 Derby winner Riva Ridge.
Oh,
Ridge.
forgot
Yep,
about
that
Red
one.
Ridge.
Nope.
Oh no.
Sounds like just Big Mouths had Riva Ridge.
Jennifer, are we about to lose this one in the home stretch again?
Gosh,
Making
I
a
hope
run
not.
here. This could get interesting. I'd written them off.
All right, next one, 1973 Secretariat.
Yep.
We had that one.
There's
Yeah.
that one.
Both teams had Secretariat.
Yeah.
Somehow that does not surprise me. 1975 Foolish Pleasure.
Did not have that one.
No.
I was going like Derby winners in the 70s, going like, what are the names?
All right, so nobody had Foolish Pleasure. 1977 Seattle Slew.
Yep.
Have that.
Both teams had Seattle Slew. 1978 Affirmed.
Yeah.
Um,
Both teams. 1979 Spectacular Bid.
Yep.
And you had it as well, Big Mouths?
Yeah.
Yep, both teams had the bid. And then probably part of why people are like, oh, 2-year-old champions never won the Derby. There wasn't another one until 2007 with Street
Jeez.
Sense.
Okay, we got that one.
We have that one.
And Big
Oh.
Mouth, so you had Street Sense as well? Okay. And only two more. The next one is 2015 American Pharaoh.
Yep.
Yay.
That one.
Both teams had American Pharaoh. And then the last one to do it was 2016 and Nyquist.
Nyquist. Thank you,
Yep.
Emily.
You're welcome.
And Big Mouths, you had that one as well?
We did, yeah.
All right. So that is the list of 21 champion 2-year-olds, Colts, or in one case, Philly, who went on to win the Kentucky Derby. And with that, that is the end of the game. So what is our final score here? Drum roll, please. Congratulations. Let it snow. Thank
Great
goodness.
job, ladies. We got pasted.
Nice job. Yeah, we got smoked.
I
Well,
sense a grudge match evener somewhere
A rubber
down the
match.
line. 1-1 now.
Hey,
That-
you want to
no.
play trivia? Count me in. I am always good for trivia.
That was all Jennifer pulling out old Rosebud, Morbid, Sev.
Yeah,
I'd be
those
down
were
to a Breeders' Cup trivia later in the
Yeah,
year.
but Breeders'
Yeah.
Cup we can do.
Yeah.
Yes, Breeders' Cup trivia. I'll have to put a pin in Breeders' Cup trivia and start gathering the best bits of it for later this year.
Hey, I
I'm sure
know.
Pete could twist somebody's arm for a sponsorship at the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, we can probably make that work. I know we got people who have to get places, but there's a little bit of business I want to do. The top of it, though, is just thanking Rowan for
Thank you,
their
Rowan.
patience and intelligence and charisma putting together this fantastic quiz and, really making this whole thing happen. It's just such a great pleasure to work with you.
It was a little
Thank you.
scared. I'm not gonna be lie. I was a little scared about what was ahead. I was like,
They went easy on you.
do I need to start studying? And my husband said, "What are you gonna study?" I was like, everything.
Everything.
The entire history of the Kentucky Derby.
I've seen enough of the trivia flashcards where I'm like, oh, I'm nervous.
I mean, I have thousands of trivia flashcards. Very few of them are about horse racing because mostly horse racing just tends to stick. I get razzed by Brits that I play trivia with about my Grand Nationals being a little fuzzy. So I have a handful of those things on flashcards just to help it stick because I play enough British trivia that it gets asked about.
That's great.
Nice.
Other than that, but no, thank you so much for having me back here and letting me write this game and coming to play.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
And then
great.
the last-
Thank you so much.
the last thing I want to do real quick, I don't have to hold feet to the fire for a pick. You can give a short list, could be a pick. It could be 3 horses you're thinking about, but I want to hear some names of Derby horses that we're thinking about at this stage. And Rowan, I think we should start with you.
Okay, yeah, I definitely don't have my pick yet. I do have a line on Two Phils just because I like that he seems to be going the right way. He might go off at a bit of a price because that last prep did happen at Turfway, but he was competitive against good horses down at Fairgrounds. He's already a graded stakes winner at Churchill, so
Hell of a figure last race too.
yeah, exactly. Which I think people are going to shake it off and, take it with what you will because that did come on a synthetic. But on the other hand, he has enough dirt form. And I'm also kind of a big fan of if everything else on paper looks good, if it's connections that fewer people know about and therefore maybe fewer people are going to bet. But having been following the racing in Chicago for as long as I have, I've seen Larry Ravelli and Jareth Loveberry win a lot of horse races. And so I definitely have a pin in Two Phils as kind of a price horse. As far as other horses who I have in the mix, I really like how Tappet Trice is coming along. I think, he's still got some learning to do. His Tappet is showing, but it's starting to show a little less. I was impressed with his Bluegrass just because even though he drew the fence in that big field, he was still able to get out in a timely manner and not have to close from as far. And he's also one who I trust to get the distance, being, by Tappet out of Danzatrice. They've got some stamina on both sides of his pedigree. So he's one that I'm looking at. And then really depending on the odds, he's not one I'm interested in taking chalk on, but just because I think there is a little less pace in this year's Derby than there is some years, and because you're starting to get enough evidence that maybe some of those Japanese horses can hang with American speed, I'm gonna have Dermasoto Gaki somewhere in there as well.
He's certainly one of the ones I'm super interested in. When you do the correct pronunciation of Tappet Trice's dam's name, you bring up sore memories with me and Nick, who tried so hard to make his name Tappet Trice, but we were corrected over and over again until we finally gave it right.
I really wish it was Tappet Trice for Danzatrice. That would make me so happy.
Nick, what's your short list right now? Obviously, we'll chat with you next week more.
Yeah, a lot of the same from Rowan. Two Phils, Dermasoto Gaki, kind of the main two for me. Tappet Trice a little bit as well. But those 3 are kind of my focus. I spent a part of last night writing a contender profile for In the Money podcast.com about Two Phils. I watched every replay. I'd already watched him a number of times, but I think he might be coming in the right way. I think he's very interesting at what should be a good price too.
Emily, how you leaning at the moment?
I haven't looked at it yet. I won't until like Friday, Thursday.
Probably smart.
I like to wait until I have the hot browns in the oven. But that being said, I think Forte rules these kids. He just seems to be a really good horse, and so far head and shoulders above everybody else he's faced.
He's got a Nyquisty look, doesn't he? You know, that like all those big wins and on form wise, like you're saying, leaves rules and then doesn't have the figure edge, but neither did Nyquist. And then he stepped up on the dice.
I'm not going to be super surprised if Forte Nyquists me, but I'll live with it.
No, I think class prevails here. That being said, if he's in, I'm rooting for Wild on Ice because I grew up watching bull ring racing at Horseman's Park in Omaha, and Ken Tohill rode there every summer. And so just to be able to see him ride in a Kentucky Derby is really
no, he's
cool.
in. He's above the line. So 50 points in Sunland was enough.
That's true. I knew he was in. I just didn't know if they were going. So
they're going and Tohill's riding.
Awesome.
That's what I'm hearing. Jennifer, how about you? And then we'll get out of here. Where are you leaning at the moment?
Whoever draws post 10 or post 15. I mean, honestly, like I listen to Nick like every week when he's on Steve Bick's show. And I'm like, I listen to everything people say. And then we get to day of and I'm like, I made all these future bets. Please let at least one of these horses win so that I can break even. But honestly, I'm more likely to make a pick after the draw because then you can have a better conclusion about who's going to go and where they're going to be and stuff like that. Because in a 20 horse field, it feels like a cavalry charge and it makes me very nervous. So I'm just like, I will pick later.
Rowan, any closing thoughts or should I send this thing home?
I think you can send this thing home. Thank you so much for having me, and Nick and Emily and Jennifer and Jessica, thank you so much for taking a few hours out of the extremely busy Derby time to play a little trivia.
Anytime.
For Rowan, for Jessica, for Nick, for Emily, for Jennifer, and for producer AJ doing the yeoman's work, pushing all the right buttons behind the scenes. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your Kentucky Derby photos.